And welcome.
Welcome.
And we're really looking forward tonight. And this is one of the first broadcasts where I don't have many words to say. And sometimes that's a good thing. Sometimes I realize we may hear too much noise in our heads at times, and there's power in silence. So I want to really share what's in my heart with our guests, James and Crystal Lewis Delacruz.
Hello, Mr. Rebecca.
Hello.
Mr. Gray.
Thank you for having us.
Miss
Yep.
Rebecca.
Pleasure having you.
And your assignment is a lot sooner than I thought that you would share your testimony.
Well, I was preparing, and I feel like the Lord's leading me to share it, so I'm ready.
Now, Crystal, are you surprised that you're sharing with James tonight? Is this suddenly? Did it happen suddenly that God placed it on your heart?
Yes. And we've been, praying for the right opportunity and the right time. And we feel like this is the right time to we got to start somewhere. So now's the time.
And I'm
And
for
I'm
sure
very proud of him. And I do hair. So I tell his story all the time. So I'm very excited for him to tell his story and to just share with the world.
Mm-hmm. And if you have anything to say, Crystal, just raise your hand so I can acknowledge you there.
Okay.
Okay. So once again, we're going to be hearing from James Delacruz, his story, which really is a gift once you get through everything that we're supposed to, our fears, our challenges. So right now, let me just bring on James to the One Source Network. Welcome, James.
How you doing, Mr. Gray?
How are you,
Yeah,
James?
Good. I'm glad to
Good.
be here. My name is James Lewis, and I'm married to Crystal Delacruz, and she's been a blessing to me. God sent her to me, and I just want to start with I'm the baby of 11 kids. My mother's name was Ruth, and like when I was really young, my mother and dad split up because I guess he was beating on me or whatnot. So she made him leave, and then she found out he was cheating on her with my mama's sister's daughter, which was my cousin. Then he ended up marrying her, so it made my cousin my stepmom. So it threw the whole monkey wrench into my family, and then after that, I don't really remember too much of growing up. But my mother passed away when I was 9. Before my mom passed away, I don't know how I got into the things I was doing, but one day I guess my mom came home and found me passed out in the yard from huffing gas or whatever. And I guess it scared her half to death. Now that I think about it, then when I was a kid, I never really thought about it. Now that I think about it, I can only imagine the things I put my mother through before she passed. But like I said, I was 9, so I didn't really understand the concept of death. My dad ain't been in my life since I was 2, so I really never had a father. My mom worked all day just to support me. Like I said, we had 10 other youngins, but they was all already gone. Their daddy was older. So I was kind of like the only kid, but I still had older sisters and brothers. So, I looked up to some of them. I had a sister named Penny that was like, she was like an angel, just like my mother. My mother would do anything in the world for anybody. She had a really good heart. She believed in Jesus. She told me about him ever since I was a kid. So I knew who Jesus was. It's just, I didn't really know if I believed it or I didn't go to church. And then I only knew what my mama taught me, like to pray before I went to sleep or things like that. So as my life progressed, just with me and my mother, I was a knucklehead. I didn't listen, and I didn't have good influences in my life. So just me living in a trailer park in South Carolina, in Darlington, South Carolina is where I grew up. I was born in Florida, but I grew up in Darlington, South Carolina, and it was just like it wasn't a good atmosphere, I guess, for little kids without father and stuff. So as I got older, my mother passed away when I was 9. She was 42 when she had me, died when she was 52. My dad showed up the next day out of nowhere and just picked me up. He said, "I'm your father. Get in the car." My sisters wasn't around or nothing. So he kind of just come and snatched me up because now since my mom passed away, he'd be getting a check every month for me. So he just wanted to be in my life all of a sudden. Well, I thought he'd come to pick me up because he was my dad, but if I find out years later, it was only because of the money. So he come pick me up and took me to the house. Like I said, he married my mama's sister's daughter, which is my cousin Debbie. And now my cousin is my stepmom, and they got a kid, which my little sister Jessica. She lives in Timminsville, South Carolina. She's okay, but she's a baby at the time. So I'm living with them. I'm only 9 years old. Debbie has a kid named Jamie, which is 1 year older than me. So I got a stepbrother now and a little sister in my life, and my mother's gone. And now I'm still, I never even cried after my mother passed away. The night she passed away, I remember her asking me to pray with her, and we prayed, and she told me what she prayed, and she said that she was tired and she was just ready to go. And that's the night God took her home. And I remember my sister coming in the room and trying to talk to her, and then my mother wasn't there. And then I remember waking up, and my other sister's husband, Marty Lee, was telling me, well, your mother passed away. You know, I never cried. I never understood death. And then my whole life, I thought, like, you know, mama told me about God and how good he was and all that. And I was thinking, like, why would he take her from me? He took my dad from me. He took my mom from me. So in my heart, I felt like God was against me. You know, I felt like everybody was against me. So I just rebelled. I don't know. And then when I was with them the whole time, my stepmother, like, I'm not judging nobody or nothing, but my stepmother was just, my stepmother and my dad both was like in a bad place. So they beat us, they made us lie, they made us steal, they would make us rob houses, they would do things that just you shouldn't do to kids. She would molest my friends, her friends would be molesting me. It was just it was just crazy. Like the things that went on. They would start this thing where they beat us every day for 7 days. We had to chop stumps up. We wasn't kids, we were slaves to these people. Like it was just bad. And then more as I grew up, I thought that's what life was, you know, like, you know, just get over and get what you can. It's all about you. So that's how I lived. I lived on the dark side. I didn't care about nobody. I thought nobody cared about me. Anybody who did died or left, or God took them from me, or, you know, so I felt like I was alone. And then as as the years went on, from the time I was 9 until I was 15, it got worse and worse and worse. Everybody around knew what was going on, but they couldn't do nothing. I was so scared of my dad. I was only 5'2" or something. My dad 6'7", 345 pounds, used to beat me like a man, beat me to where I bleed, pour alcohol all over me, like beat me into the floor, like beat me with Pepsi bottles. Like it was outrageous. But my stepmom wasn't no better. She would do the same thing. She would take me all night long and leave me sitting in a car while she climbed up in the truck with my dad's best friend and stayed in the truck with him all night. Me and my little sister in the car. Days I would go to school and fall asleep in school because I've been in the car all night. They would wake me up in the middle of the night. My dad would beat me for getting in trouble in school. She would beat me for just no off the ball things. That's all they want to do is beat us and abuse us. And they put us through so much. So there's been times, man, I stood over their bed and contemplated killing myself, killing them. I was just in dark places around these people the whole time I was there. The only thing that kept me from doing it is I could hear my mama's voice telling me, if you kill yourself, you'll never come to heaven. You'll never see me. You'll never see God. And so I never would do it. I mean, I sat there times like in the bed just with a gun to my head and just, I tried to do it and couldn't do it just because I hear her voice. But there's been times I stood over my dad with the gun pointed at him while he was asleep. The only reason I wouldn't do it is my little sister was in the bed, and not like I was that bad in the place. But that's what they did to me. So I did that to everybody. I lied to people. I conned. I stole. And I want to take a second right now. If I ever lied to you, stole from you, anything, if I ever harmed you in any way, I'm truly, truly, truly sorry. Jesus did a miraculous work in my life, and I would like to say I'm truly, truly, truly sorry for anything I've ever did to anybody. But the Lord's truly blessing me and working in me, and if He can help me, He can help anybody. So I hope
Amen.
we can take the time to spread the good news and the news of the kingdom and just let it be known. But I went through drugs, alcohol, different. I got in a gang. And later on, I felt like that, like they showed, like after I left my dad's, well, it got to the point to where my dad was gonna kill me one night. They started beating us every day for 7 days if we got a beating. So sometimes it would be 3 or 4 times a day. He would just pick a time and say, "Come on," and beat me till he'd bleed, about to have a heart attack, stop. So 6, 7 times, the whole back of my legs and my back would be black and hard and would crack open from where he would beat us so bad. And then one night he got on the phone and told me, he said, "I can't leave work right now because my boss is here. But I told you next time I had to leave work, what I was going to do when I come home." He told me he was going to kill me. So I had in my heart that he was going to kill me this night. Out of nowhere, they kept me away from all my sisters and my brothers the whole time. My one sister would send me packages over the years. they would just take the stuff and split it up between me and my brothers and sisters, but they would never tell me who it come from. Later on, I found out about this, but they, well, I guess, all right,
So
that
he
night,
was gonna kill you.
yeah, he was gonna kill me. So that I called my sister, her number popped in my head. I called my sister Ruthie. God bless the dead. She passed away now, but I called her and she answered the phone and I told her, I said, Ruthie, I'm really scared for my life. I think my dad's gonna kill me tonight. And she was like, "This is Jamie Joe?" I said, "Yeah, this is Jamie Joe. Can you please help me?" And she drove from Darlington to Timothyville, South Carolina, and picked me up. And when I got in the car, I had 2 pair of shorts, 2 pair of underwear, 2 socks, and they flew me to New York. I was 14 years old. They flew me to New York the next morning so my sister Penny could get me. I was covered in bruises. I had like marks all over me. You wouldn't even believe it. I look like a zebra. And my sister got me. She took pictures of me. She documented all the things that was wrong with me. Like my underwear had holes in it, blood stains in it from where they would beat me so bad. Like it was ridiculous. But well, I guess they tried to have my sister locked up for kidnapping. And after she took all the pictures and all the evidence to the judge and everything, and when they went after my dad and my stepmom, they didn't want to be in trouble, so they said we'd drop the charges and give her custody if they just won't file charges on us. I didn't want to go back in front of him. No way. I was scared to death. I was afraid they would kill me if they ever got their hands back on me. Like this is the first time I ever been away from him in like 4 years. And my sister had me in New York. I felt safe. My sister finally told me everything that she's always done over the years, sent me the packages and stuff, and I remember. So she's always been there. God's always been in my life, but I never really seen it until later on. So now I'm with my sister Penny, and I know nothing is never gonna hurt me again, like because it's so much better there. They treat me with respect. She's like my mother. And after it wasn't shortly after that, this was in New York. I left and went back to South Carolina to my sister Ruthie's house because she was staying with her stepdad, or she was staying with her dad, which would have been my stepdad, and he didn't really care for me, so he wanted me to go back to South Carolina. So I left and went back to my sister Ruthie's. I really didn't want to live under, like, after being the way it was with my dad and my stepmom. When I got to Penny's and Daryl's, if I would have listened to what she was telling me and what he was telling me, I would have been way better off, and I probably would have been a better person. But now I got it stuck in my head that I'm not gonna be beat no more. I don't gotta be scared of nobody no more. Penny assured me, like, you ain't gonna get beat here, no matter what. You good. And so I don't know. And me never. I rebelled. I lied. I stole. It was the same things, and they couldn't take it. So I just told them I'd leave, and I left. And I went to South Carolina. And when I went to my sister Ruthie's house, my niece Margie is like 1 year older than me, and my niece Christy is 1 year younger than me. So we was always together growing up, and we always were knuckleheads. So me and Margie went out one night and was partying. And when we came home, my sister Ruthie was sitting on the couch, and her boyfriend, I guess, was arguing. And she was like, "Yeah, I've been charging him for his beers." So she had a bunch of money, and they was laughing and stuff. And she told us about some people who called, and Margie went in the back and started a fight with Harold trying to get the phone on the hook, and he chased her and beat her. And next thing I know, my sister was like, "Get him off of her." And he's a big dude. I'm a little dude. I couldn't get him off my knee. So I picked up a red brick and I threw it at him, and it bounced off his shoulder and went through the curtain, and it hit my sister in the face. And then I picked up another one and hit him with it, and then he went down. And then next thing I know, like, this is just crazy. Blood's everywhere. And nobody, I didn't even know it hit my sister. We thought Harold had did it, and she said that it was she didn't even know who hit her, but it was just crazy. And then Harold chased me out with a gun, so I lost that place to live, and then I went to the streets, and the only place I had was people that, like, in my neighborhood, like, there was, yeah, it wasn't friends, they was gangsters. And they took me in and said, I was always around them. They showed me how to sell drugs, and that was the only one who kind of showed me, like, any kind of love. I felt like, like and when they broke it down to me, they was like, it was supposed to be about something important back then. It was supposed to be, about the oppressor. And most of the knowledge come out of the Bible now that I remember. The knowledge I remember about it, a lot of it came out of the Bible about King David, and just a bunch of, like, wisdom and knowledge and understanding. And it's about just putting yourself in a good place and growth and development. And and it was the first time I ever had anybody, like, show me love or try to help me. So I I went 100% at it. I took it and I went up in the ranks quick. And then I wasn't even 15, and I found myself facing adult charges in prison. And I went to prison for two 1-to-6s. So I ended up with 12 and a half years in prison at 15 years old. So I did my first bid in prison at 15. And by the time I came home, I didn't really have no friends, no family anymore. My sister Penny and them barely even came to see me. When they did, it was like right at the end of my sentence. And then I came home. She wanted me to go to a place called Teen Challenge. She told me my whole life, like, you need to go to this program and get your life together. And I told her, okay, all right, you set it up, I go. She figured it out. She set it up for me. She had everything ready to go. I had a couple of years left on parole. I think I had a lot of years left on parole, but the parole officer was willing to let me off of parole just to go to this program. She was coming from New York to get me, to take me to Pennsylvania to this program. And she came all the way from New York, and when she got here, the probation officer ended up letting me off. And the only way he was gonna let me off is if I passed the drug test. The night before, I was hanging out with a bunch of my friends, smoking weed, and when he told me that, I was like, "Oh Lord, I know I'm not gonna get off," And then I took the drug test, and it came back negative, and he threw it in the trash can. He said it's negative. I don't know how that happened, but it did. That's the Lord, And he let me off. And when he let me off, I didn't go to the program. I left and went with my friends, and we all, like 5 or 6 of us, piled in a car, and we hauled butt to Tennessee before my sister even got to New York. We left before she even got there. So she's coming this way and we going this way. So by the time she gets there, we're halfway to Tennessee. The car breaks down in the middle of North Carolina somewhere. So we're in the middle of the highway. In the middle of the night, the car just breaks down and just stops in the middle of the road. So it's like another way God was just trying to stop me from running from. I always ran. I always ran from him. Every time he was about to show up in my life, I ran. And so it stopped us, and then we ended up renting a U-Haul the next morning, and we piled in a U-Haul, and we made it to Tennessee. Now I'm at my family's house in Tennessee. I got 5 friends with me. I just show up at my grandma's house. I'm like, "Hey, grandma, I'm coming to stay with you. All my friends are with me." They love me, so they like welcome. Like, come on in. And we didn't have much, and it's in the country there, so all they ate was like potatoes, and they lived in a farm, but it was cool. I was in Tennessee, so I was like running. I guess I was running from God or running from myself, but same old me. I got a bunch of these gangsters with me and their girlfriends or whoever, all these crazy people, and we running around doing all this crazy stuff, committing crimes, doing drugs, and just being bad people. And then over the years, it just got worse and worse and worse. I went to prison over and over, almost 20 years of my life I spent in prison. Coming home, I sat in prison and tell myself, okay, I'm gonna go home and do it better this time. I'm not gonna get caught. I got it. And it was just me being insane, thinking I was gonna do the same thing and have a different result, when it just led me right back to the streets and drugs and lying and conning and being worse than I was before. Because after I done sat there for so long not doing anything, I come out trying to catch up on doing everything that I missed out on. I felt like I missed out on everything. So then one day I don't know. I come home. I started telling myself I'm gonna get my life together. I started talking to Jesus a little bit. He started showing up in my life. He helped me get a real good job. I got a job with CSX out of Florence, South Carolina. Um, I went to work in West Virginia on the railroad. I started saving money, doing good. It's the first time I ever been clean in my life. For the first 6 months, I started feeling and seeing what life was about. And then I got a phone call from my sister, and she told me she had terminal cancer. And it just flipped everything upside down for me, because she was like my mom. She was like the only person who ever cared about me. Like, even though I lied and stole and did everything I did to her, Penny, she believed in Jesus. She knew, like, forgiveness is the way. Love, love, love. She always told me love. She knew forgiveness was the way. But so she told me she had terminal cancer, and I just had went through a roadblock and got locked up, and I lost my license. And I didn't tell her. I should have told her, but I didn't. And she asked me would I come to Florida and drive her back and forth to chemo for the first 6 months. And I figured this was a chance for me and her to like come together before she goes. So I did. I chose to come to Florida. And me being the person I am, I didn't have a license. So I asked one of my friends to drive me from, I was in West Virginia at the time. I asked him to drive me from West Virginia to Florida. And I promised him some money and stuff, which I gave him some money. I didn't give him everything. I promised him, and dropped him off at a bus station and just left him here. I got here. He went back to West Virginia, and I started helping my sister. And if I would have just was honest with her and told her the truth, she probably would have helped me, or we could have helped each other, and everything would have been all right. But I didn't. I just kept it. I just kept that secret to myself. That's probably still why I don't got a license to this day, but I'm working on it now. I'm getting back soon. Thank God, God willing.
Yes.
But my sister, me and my sister talked a lot. You know, most of our lives, all we did was argue when we talked. But we actually had a couple good conversations before she passed. And out of one of them, she made me promise her that I would stop doing drugs and stay out of trouble and get my life right with Jesus. And I told her I would do that only if she would, after she crosses, she'd have to come back and show me. I told her, I'm from the show me state. You got to show me it's real. I ain't seen nothing my whole life but bad. I said, I know the devil's real. So obviously Jesus got to be real, but he ain't never loved me. Look, he always took this from me. She told me, she's like, you can't think like that. You need to read the Bible and open up to him. And I always bucked against her. So I told her, I said, you're gonna have to come back and let me know it's for real before I give my life to anybody I ain't never seen before. You know, that's pretty much how the conversation went. And she promised me she would, and I promised her if she kept her word, I would keep my word. And after she passed away not too long after that, and I was in Atlanta when she passed away. At the time I was working in Atlanta, and the only thing she didn't want us to do was see her after she passed away. She wanted to be cremated and her ashes spread in New York. So I respected it. I didn't want to see her like that. No way. It tore me up. So I respected it. She didn't want nobody to go through her stuff. Like when my mama died, all my brothers and sisters like just swarmed there going through her stuff. And it's been like that my whole life through our whole family. Our whole family tore apart because every time somebody passes, all they do is come in and they want this, they want that. It was just bad. But hopefully God worked all that out now, you know. And but she didn't want that. I kept my word to her. I didn't go through her stuff. I didn't ask for none of her stuff. I didn't want none of her stuff. She left me a car and a couple of knickknacks and other stuff that I asked for, and she gave to me a Bible that I wanted, and I got that. But other than that, I stayed away. All my other brothers and sisters went there. They did what they did. Everybody I heard like it wasn't good or whatever. They was fighting with her boyfriend. Everything was just a big mess. So I'm glad I stayed away. And after that, I kind of went off the deep end, and I really didn't want to live anymore because I felt like now I don't got nobody. Now it's Penny was the one I could call on if I needed anything. Like I never stood up on my own 2 feet and was a man while I had her or my mom or anybody. Like I always used people and other things to get what I needed. I don't know. And now that she's gone, I just started doing drugs really bad. I went robbing people in Atlanta. I sold a car to somebody, went and stole it back. I was really trying to get these people to kill me, but they wouldn't. Man, I mean, I was walking right in the middle of the hood in Atlanta and just snatching things out of people's hands. Look at me, you know? I mean, I was really trying to get these people to kill me, but the dude laughed at me and he was like, man, you crazy, man. Just go home. But and it was just like the Lord, you just Greg, Mr. Greg, you wouldn't believe some of the stories I could tell you, the things that I've been through. Like when I came to the fact that I wanted Jesus in my life, and when this is how it all pretty much happened. I started reading my Bible. After that, all of that, I ended up in prison in Florida after my sister passed away. I promised her I wouldn't go to prison. Now I broke my promise. I'm in prison. I go to a Christian I'll go to a church service in the prison I was in, and it was around Christmas time. It was December 7th, and it was 8:36 at night, and I was listening to the man speak, and I heard a voice, and I knew whose voice it was. And after I heard the voice, I was like, it sounded like Penny. I started looking around, but I was like, she ain't in here. I started listening to the man, and the man was talking. And that night, I asked Jesus to come into my life and to help me, that I can't do it on my own. And it was a few weeks later, I was sitting on my bunk and in the prison now. And this is one of the worst prisons here in Florida. Like I said, I'm in one of the gangs here. So the people look up to you or they hold you in respect, you know, and I was high in the ranks. So I'm sitting here on my bunk and I'm reading my Bible and I see a spot on the floor and it looks like a lion face, almost like the picture of the one source lion sitting there on the floor. And I focused on it. I was reading Psalms 23. I read it 3 times back to back. And that's how I usually open my prayers when I first started studying the word, was with Psalms 23 is one of my favorite. And I seen that face of the lion, and I was looking at it, and just I zoned into it for a second, and I was thinking to myself, like, I don't know, like I was just thinking, and all of a sudden I came to, and I'm standing in a field, and it's so beautiful. There's flowers everywhere. Just the colors is so bright. There's a tree that you just wouldn't believe. It's so bright and so green and so big. And then I see my sister Penny standing there under the tree, and she's so beautiful. And I'm like, Penny, oh my God. And she's like, Jamie Joe, listen to me. You need to get your life together. And I'm like, what are you talking about? She's like, listen to me. You don't got much time. You need to get your life together. She said, when I tell you this, please listen to me this time. All of a sudden, my mama appeared. And I was like, oh my God, mama. My mama's been gone for years. I don't even remember what she looked like. But when I seen her, I was like, oh my God, mama, you're so beautiful. I almost forgot what she looked like. She said, Jamie Joe, listen to Penny. You got to get your life together. And then it was this big old bright light came up behind him. My soul knew who it was instantly. I dropped to my knees. My soul was crying. Everything I've ever done wrong just flashed before me. Just went right. Just I was screaming, please, Lord, forgive me. Please, Lord, forgive me. My sister said, Jamie Joe, we got to go. Get your life together. You don't got much time. I looked up and I said, Lord, please forgive me. I can't see nothing but this bright light. I'm like, Lord, please forgive me. The gate's closing. My sister's like, we got to go. Jamie Joe, I'm going to talk to him. Please get your life together. I'm begging. I said, Lord, please, Lord, don't shut me out. Let me in. The gate stopped. And the Lord said, I don't know you, my son. And Mr. Gray, when I tell you, I lost it. My soul lost it. I was bawling. I was screaming. He told me he didn't know me. And they was gone. I'm back in myself. I'm sitting there. The Bible's on my lap. I'm bawling. My buddy knocked on my bed. He's like, are you okay? And I realized I'm bawling in front of everybody. And I'm like, no. And he's like, what's wrong? So we started spinning. And I started talking to him and telling him. And he was like, man, maybe you just need to like lay down and relax, maybe it's just nothing. And I was like, man, no, dude, that happened, bro. I know there's nothing. What I just seen was realer than anything I seen in my life. I know it happened. There ain't nothing in this world that can't tell me God is not real. Even though he didn't know me at that time, he called me his son. And the more and more I thought about it, the more and more that's saying. After that, messages started coming through to me from everywhere, like from all types of voices and people and things, and just things people would say, the things I would read in the Bible, just everything just started like coming alive. Excuse me. Okay, after that, I started going to church more. I started taking financial freedom classes, and things people were saying to me was like, if you want to know who you are, look at the company you keep. That's exactly who you are. You ain't gonna be a man until you jump out the porch, your nuts drop, you grow up. Look at y'all. Most of y'all look like killers in here. And I started thinking like, man, this man's right. I started looking at the people who I surrounded myself with, and I started doing a self-inventory. And I started watching, and I just started studying everybody around me. And I started watching them. And I realized, like, man, I don't want to be around these people. These people scare me, Like this is, I ain't never looked at it like this. And I said, Lord, maybe you got it right. You got a point. So the more and more days went by, I started studying in my word, reading, praying, fasting, and more and more he started talking to me. And then after that, it wasn't long after that, an angel came to me. He didn't tell me his name. I know he was an angel. Like he didn't look like no angel you would think, like with no wings and no halo. He looked like a warrior. And he told me, in my time, I will see the end, and I will go to war for the Lord. If I put my whole heart into it and trust him, he will put me on a mission, and I can start an army for the Lord, or I ain't gonna say start an army. I will be a warrior for the Lord, and I will bring an army of soldiers to Jesus. And he said, no, he told me I will have trials and tribulations. He told me it will not be easy. He said, no matter, even if I got to give my life for it, long as I stand firm in Jesus' name, no matter what, and don't denounce Jesus, I'm gonna be okay. Live righteous, stop lying, no lies, just love, and live righteous for once in my life for Jesus, I will be okay. And I took his word for it. And ever since, I went to the people and I asked them, well, I didn't ask them nothing. I told them I'm going to God, and I ended up having to fight multiple people. I ended up with 10 stitches, my lip ripped in half, 18 stitches in my mouth, 10 stitches in the back of my head. I got stabbed 4 times. I almost died 2 times, but Jesus was right there with me every time. He picked me back up every time I would drop, and he got me right back in there. He stood there with me, and when it was over with, every one of them told me, like, okay, we respect it. If God's what you want, God's what you got. We ain't with you no more. You ain't with us no more. When we split. And it was a couple days after that, something happened, and then they ended up locking a bunch of us up under investigation who was tagged in the system. And it was the last 7 months of my bid. I was in a box, 24-hour lockdown. So it was just me and the Lord in the Bible all day. The day I got to the cell, something kept saying, read Revelation, read Revelations. I read Revelations all the way through for the first time. Sat there and read it all the way through. And I bawled my eyes out because everything that angel told me was right there in Revelations. Everything that he said I'm going to have to go through was right there. And it scared me worse than anything in my life. I was 37 at the time. I'm 43 now. Ever since that vision, I've had multiple dreams. And I see the number 44, 44, 44 over and over. I don't know if it's going to happen when I'm 44. I don't know if everything's going to start happening for me when I'm 44. I'm 43 now. I'll be 44 in September. I don't know, but I know the Lord showed up in my life, and he showed off. He brought me to Naples, Florida. I didn't know anybody in Naples. He sent me to Naples. I filled out multiple things for Christian programs throughout all over Florida. And the only place that would accept me was in Naples. And he told me he's gonna lead me to the right people I need to be, and he's gonna lead me. He said if I trust him with all my life and acknowledge him in all my ways, he'll guide my path, and he's gonna lead me to the right people. And I trust him. He led me to Naples. 2 or 3 days later, I showed up at my wife's doorstep. It was right before COVID. I walked into her house. Her brother brought me there. God just saved me the night before from going to prison for about 30 years from a crazy situation that was at a motel. Her brother picked me up and took me to her house just to get me away from the situation. And when we got there, he introduced me to her. We talked for about 3 hours. I don't know. I never told my testimony to anybody, but she was the first person that I told it to. And she was waiting for me. God had already showed her a vision of me, and she was there. So let her take up.
I'd like to say something for a moment, James.
Okay.
I just want to wait for a moment. You said something happened on December 7th, right?
Yes, sir. That's when I gave my life to Christ.
You know, today's the 7th?
Yeah, he gave his heart to Christ.
You know today's December 7th?
Now we do. We realize
Well,
that.
it is today, I guess.
Yeah, didn't you say something also about a lion?
Yes, and I told her that. I said the first vision I had was when I focused on the face of the lion and the floor, and it just took me to God. It took me straight to that field, and that was the face of the lion, the same one that I see now staring back at me. I've been telling her that ever since we've been talking.
So something about today, December 7th, once again, you're introduced to the lion. I mean, God is now calling you to ministry.
Yes.
I mean, this is the time. And I want to say to you, James, none of it was really ever your fault at all.
Well, Mr. Greg, I did a lot of bad things, I mean, I know I didn't have the right upbringing, but I can't justify what I did. I know what I did, and I've asked for forgiveness, and I'm positive he forgave me. I hope everybody else who I come across will forgive me. And if not, I hope I can make amends, and eventually I hope everything will get better. But I feel the Father has forgiven me.
What I want to say to you, James, and once again, I thank you for sharing, but look where you're at now. I mean, today's December 7th. look who's next to you. Yeah. And, that's a testimony that I absolutely felt. You're hard in it.
Yes.
You weren't hiding a thing.
No.
And that's
I didn't
very,
give it to it.
that's very honorable,
Yep.
James. And what I'm sensing, the only thing that I sense now that I believe tonight you're going to move past it is the ability to know that you can receive the love.
Amen.
Once you know you can receive it without allowing that guilt and shame from your past, remember that was from your past.
Yes.
But in this one moment where your ministry, your wife and your ministry comes together, you don't have to go there anymore, because share once again, what did the angel share with you?
Well, when the angel came to me, he pretty much told me, he says, God has a mission for me, and he wants me to bring an army of warriors to him, because in the end, he pretty much told me I will see, well, everybody feels what's going on. I mean, I'm not the only one that's seeing. I've been watching a lot of different shows and seeing people's testimonies where they done seen visions or hearing dreams, where it says in the Bible, the young man see visions and the old man is dream dreams. I feel like maybe he called me. I feel like maybe my life has a purpose. When I was a kid, I used to tell myself like, no, why me? Like maybe, but I feel like maybe God's put me through all that just to put me where he wants me today, so I can help the people who that need the help where I was at, like the things I went through. I'm sure there's people going through them now, or the gangs they feel like they can't get out of, or the drugs, the addiction I went through, Mr. Greg. The Lord truly delivered me. Like my whole life, I couldn't get off of drugs. And then when I got the Lord in my life, he let it go. He didn't make me go through no withdrawals the last time I got off of it, or nothing. The 2 times I tried to get off of it myself, no way. I couldn't stop. I stopped for 10 days and be right back on it. Mr. Greg, I am clean. Like he has truly blessed me. Like everything, since he's been in my life, everything I've asked for, everything I wanted to, like I said, the last 7 months I was in my prison cell. I was in my Bible. I had 5 or 6 cellmates come into my cell, and I didn't push the Lord on them or nothing, but I would read my word. I would study my scriptures. I would lock the scriptures in my heart. And from them just watching me and seeing me and the books I was reading and passing off to them, I watched 4 of them get on their knees and give their life to God just within a matter of months. The 7 months that I was in there before I left, people are drawn to me. They want to hear my story. They come and I tell them how God showed up in my life and he's showing out, and they want to hear it. And and I want to share it. And it says through the testimonies that we can help people, and I'm ready. I'm so ready. It took me 4 years to being by myself and studying his word and getting off of drugs and being delivered, but it's been a long time coming, and in the times now, God's saying, "Go, let's go." He keeps telling me, Colorado, Boulder, Colorado. I don't even know anybody in Boulder, Colorado, but he keeps telling me that's where he wants me to go for some reason. I don't even know why or when, but I'm sure he's going to end up leading me there eventually. And I done had when the angel told me what I was gonna do, he done told me like I'm gonna have kingdom come business where it's going to help people that has problems with mental health, that has problems with addiction, with all types of problems. Anybody who has problems that wants to be part of God's kingdom, they're going to be able to come and get help. And they're going to and work towards a better life in Jesus, because everybody can have Jesus. Jesus came and died for us, and a lot of people just, I don't know. I mean, it took me 37 years to realize that, and I can't judge nobody else. But for the rest of my life, I want to let people know what Jesus did for me. I mean, like I told my wife earlier, I was like, baby, I'm gonna tell them blood raw, tell them how it was. I said, people are never gonna want to trust me, but you know what? God's got it, and God's gonna show them. Look at what he did to Paul. Paul was persecuting Christians, and he stopped Paul on that road and said, hey, go sit here until I take the scales off your eyes and do what I want you to do. And then look all the stuff he went through, man. I feel like my whole life, God has been leading me to this point. The lies, the beatings, the prisons, all the stuff I've been through. No matter what I go through for the rest of my life, there ain't nothing that's going to stop me from living for Jesus and him and doing what I'm supposed to be doing. There's nothing that's going to stop me from doing that.
Amen.
Let me share something with you. Now, this has to do with Crystal, your wife. Share with us the qualities that she has that really help support your spiritual walk.
Oh man, you just wouldn't even believe my every relationship I ever been in. This never. I read in the Bible, if you love God, made man to love Him, and He made woman to love man for loving Him. If you truly love God, your wife will love you more for loving Him than anything in this world. So you put God first, your wife don't put you first. And a happy wife is a happy life. And when I met my baby, I knew from day one on the way to her house when I was in her brother's car, her brother's like, yeah, we're gonna go to my sister's house. I was like, oh, I might end up your brother-in-law. He's like, oh, stop playing. I was like, I don't know, man. I kind of feel like that for real. And then now I'm his brother-in-law, you know. And when I got there and I told her my testimony, she was like, I seen you 10 years ago in a vision. God's gonna show me you. And then like we talked, and then like it was like, I mean, she's my glue, man. You just don't even know. Like
Well, Crystal, is there anything you would like to share with us?
Oh, yes. So I believe that the Lord has prepared me for Jamie Joe, like my whole life, everything I've been through. I have 6 brothers and 2 sisters. My mom's been to prison. I have brothers who have been in and out of prison. You know, the Lord picked the right one. And I truly believe that. But I also prayed for him, like exactly to the T. Like I prayed that the Lord would send me somebody to, that would teach me, as it says in the Bible, the husband is your teacher. And, I wanted to live. I was tired of like all the BS, I've never been to jail or anything like that, but I've been in many relationships and sexually active at a young age. And when I was 21, I was working at McDonald's as a manager. And I remember seeing so clearly like a vision, but it was more like a picture. And in this picture, I seen myself in a kitchen cutting up, like preparing dinner. I seen 2 kids running through the kitchen. I seen a man with his back to me, but I knew that that man who was doing the dishes was my husband. And I, I'm 21, so I was already sexually active. So I knew that I didn't know that man in my vision. So I knew that it wasn't anyone I had been with. So I was like, praise God, because I was like, I that was really when I stopped kind of being really sexually active, and I kind of like went through my phases of like, no, I'm with the Lord, and like, no, I was always 1 foot in the door, 1 foot out the door. And but the Lord showing me that vision really, I believe helped me. It encouraged me. And when I met James over quarantine, as he said, my brother brought him to my house, and we were in conversation for 3 hours, like uninterrupted. Like my brother was in the room with us. And by the end of the 3 hours, we looked around and my brother was nowhere to be found. And we're like, where'd he go? That's how engaged we were in the conversation. And within the first 20 minutes of speaking with him, I knew instantly like that was him. It was the man that was in my vision. And I want to say 2 months before I met him, I had another vision. And in this vision, I seen James's side profile. So I seen his beard, and I seen him on stage, and I was behind stage. And so when I met him and he started telling me the story, his testimony, it all made sense. I'm like, it's you. But obviously I felt crazy because I'm like, I'm not going to tell him I love him. But that's the way I felt. Like I knew him my whole life. I don't know. It was very, very weird, but I also prayed exactly for him. And, the Lord is working through us, and we want to start a ministry called Kingdom Come. and we really feel like we're in preparation for that now. And we don't really have a good support team or community. So, that's why we're very grateful for the One Source Network. We're always staying connected with you guys. And, but we want to get more involved and more just like really getting things rolling with, to share our testimony and share what the Lord, or share what the Lord has done in our lives.
Wow.
Thanks so much.
For them, honey.
It's just, it's both powerful testimonies.
Thanks so much for it. So much.
Yeah, he's truly has blessed us. And, we're learning and growing every single day. We're not perfect, but, we're in the Word and renewing our minds every day. And
stay in conversation with God. Like we truly doing it. We doing our part. Every day we in the Word. As soon as we wake up, when all through the day we watch testimonies, Deep Believer,
and in the
Pastor
beginning
Henry.
of our marriage, we were like in love, and we were just like, okay, we both love Jesus, but we really didn't put our foundation on Jesus. And so now that's where we really are becoming warriors, prayer warriors.
Because like I said, when the angel told me what I was gonna do when I came home, I was so pumped up. I sat in that cell for 7 months before I came home, and then when I came home, I kind of went around the other way a little bit. When I got out, everything was going good for the first few days, and then once it kind of got tough, when I was almost out of money and I was at a motel and I'm supposed to be at a house somewhere, I don't even got a house. I'm on parole. I'm supposed to have an address. And it started getting bad again, and I was thinking like, Lord, I thought I was supposed to have a mission for you, Lord. And then I almost found myself in some situations to where if it wasn't the Lord, I would have been gone. And I was like, okay, Lord, I know you here, but Lord, this ain't what I want to be doing right now. I want to be serving you. And then he led me to her, and then after that, the probation officer locked me up for 4 months, and then I sat there for 4 months, and I told God, I said, well, if you really got a mission for me, I know I'm not going to be in jail. And he got me back out, got me straight. And ever since, man, I've been on it. For the last 3 years, it's been Jesus. And that's what I plan to do for the rest of my life. And I hope we can help as many people as we can. I'm waiting. Sir?
I'm sorry, I interrupted you. You go.
Oh, no, you didn't interrupt me. I'm just saying, like she said, we still new to it, and God is working through us every day, and he's changing us. But everybody we see, we telling them about Jesus, and we telling them what he did for us, and we ready. Hopefully, eventually, there's so much parts of my testimony and stuff, like the things like I went through in jail, and the things like the different things that we went through in life. Like there's a lot more. Hopefully, maybe later on I can write some books and help people or something. But it's deep. But
Yeah.
Go ahead, hon.
Amen, Doreen. And you both are such an inspiration to each and every one of us, to many people, and the power of the Lord working through you. I mean, it's such a, I mean, your testimony is so powerful, and it touches me very deeply for many reasons.
Oh, thank you, Lord.
Thank you guys so much
Praise
for
God.
giving us a chance, and I'm so glad that it was you guys I got to get my testimony out with the first time. This was my first time. I was a little nervous, but I feel like I did okay, and I hope
More than okay,
Yes, you
James.
did.
I hope too many people don't judge me. And I was a bad person, but now I got Jesus in my life, and I don't
James.
care about a person, nobody but the Father now. So
James, I don't mean to interrupt. Right now, let that judgment go.
Yes.
Let it go.
I'm okay. I'm okay
Let
with
it
it.
go.
The Father's the only one I care, but he can judge. That's the one that's gonna judge me.
We're going to take about 12 minutes. And I want you to share with us, people don't know that maybe, I forgot how long ago, maybe 3 or 4 months ago, the storm.
Oh, the hurricane.
Share with us the lesson you learned through was it the hurricane in
Yes, it was.
Florida, right?
Hurricane Ian.
Ian.
Yeah, man.
Share a bit of how you got through that challenge.
You tell him. You tell him.
Well, the Lord is truly awesome. So
Really good.
we were moving before the storm. No, we were supposed to move 2 days after the storm. So with that being said, we had everything packed. I had we really didn't have a place to go. because we were believing in faith that something was going to open up, and it wasn't the right time yet. So we hadn't found what we were looking for yet. So everything was packed. I had maybe like 5 clothes each in the closet, and we really didn't think that the surge was going to be bad, or that there was even going to be a surge. So we thought we were going to be okay at home. Well, the day of the storm, water starts rising into the house, and we have 3 cats and a 100-pound pit bull. So we started freaking out. We're all on the king size bed, and we're trying to figure out what we're going to do. The electricity's still on, and the water starts rising over like the circuits, the plugs. And so he goes outside to try to turn off the power, which is not good. He like gets electrocuted and gets back inside. And now we're in panic mode because we have to figure out what we're going to do, where we're going to put the animals, who we're going to call. So I call my brother. He said he would come pick us up. I called my mother. She said that we could go to where she was staying. And so we threw 3 cats in one bin, got the dog ready, had our like hotel bag ready,
Swimming out of the house,
and we
deep water.
swam out of the house in neck deep water.
I got 3 cats in a bin. I can't find nothing else to put them in. Everything was underwater.
Didn't think my 100-pound dog could swim. He can swim. He did great. And we make it across the street. My brother finally shows up, and he takes us to my mother's house. Well, where my mother was staying. So I knock on the door, and
now they won't let us in.
Now they won't let us in because we have all the animals. But we're literally knocking on the door, and they're not answering the door. Like they're leaving us outside in the middle of the storm. Nowhere to go. And I own a salon, so I have a few clients. So I called a couple clients. You know, with the animals, it was very hard for anyone to help us. Well, I called my client, Emmy, and I'm crying at this point. I was 2 weeks pregnant, and I was very stressed out. And she hears me crying, and she's like, she turns to her friend where she was staying at, and he said that we could come to his house. So we came to a friend of a friend's house during the storm, and this man has been so generous to us.
We're still here at his house.
And we're actually still here in his driveway.
Yeah, we're in his driveway. We're in our RV, but his driveway,
we have an RV that we purchased because we lost everything. So we're in an RV, but we're in someone's driveway for the time being because there's nowhere to park the RVs because all the parks are ruined or full.
All the power's down and stuff.
Yes. The day of the hurricane, when we finally got to here, I actually started to miscarry. And you know, that was very sad because that would be our 2nd miscarriage this year. And you know, we so badly want a family, but in God's time, we're trusting him in the timing. But it's truly been a blessing to be here, where we're safe, welcomed. You know, my family, he doesn't have any family here. All my family's here, but they're not too supportive or really active in our life. So and I had been praying before the storm for the Lord to put the right people in our lives, and people that were going to believe in us, help us. And we met you guys and like just before the storm, and which was such a blessing. And you know, so you guys are our community in here.
Yeah, you guys and this guy Dan here and Emmy, all the guys are only
and
ones
all
that
my
helped us
clients
during
at
that
work.
hurricane. So thank you guys so much.
Yes,
you are a
thank you
true
guys.
blessing. And her brother come and picked us up, but thank you so much.
Yeah. So through God's love, mercy, and grace, he's been taking care of us and really
we ended up with a beautiful little home. I mean, it ain't much, but it's he gave it to us for now. And it's his. We give all the glory to God. It's his. But
Yes.
you know, soon hopefully we can bless somebody else with it once we get moved on further on, figure something out. And we feel like God's really moving us out. I keep getting the inspiration, like he kind of wants me to start like a Kingdom Come boot camp for like mixed up teens, and like you know, PT them in the morning, work them on a farm throughout the day, teach them the kingdom in class, and then set them out and let them go get their testimonies, you know. So I'm trying to figure out a way I can maybe get a small business loan or something from the government and try to start that up, but I really ain't like too how to say, too prone to go about doing it. So she's been helping me a lot with the computer. I'm not really computer illiterate, but
I got
my
you.
baby's got
I'm just sure that we met so many people. We met a woman who also owns a salon here close to us. Her name is Doreen. We met you. Something is happening because I was in prayer prior to the broadcast, and I was asking God a question on how close something He shared with us
Yes.
is, something that will be able to help many people. So all of a sudden, I saw a trailer truck, and the trailer truck was, if I took my finger and went like that, I would have touched it.
Say about that much.
About that much.
About that much.
That's how close we are. Yep,
Oh,
that much. I wanted to
Mhm.
share with you. We know the people that God is now placing in our lives, and the people who helped us.
Mhm.
We know who God's going to help, and we
Yes.
know that you're one of them. I mean,
Thank you, Lord.
amen.
you, James and Crystal, we felt your heart immediately when we first spoke to you, and you have good hearts, and you're givers. You know, to be givers in the kingdom of God.
Yes.
That's
Well,
where
there's
we
nothing
are.
ours. It's all His. So
That's
we
right.
get. That's right.
So
What
we
He
just
gives it us, we give it to anybody who needs it.
That's right.
we
We
just
don't
want to
purpose
say,
our life.
Rebecca and I, how honored we are to meet you, because
Yes.
Thank you.
you're going to bring more of God's spirit on what's about to happen. So
Amen.
we're honored that the people we are meeting now are absolutely God sent.
They are. Yes.
Yes, we believe
Oh,
that
yeah. We've
too.
been watching y'all show. We watch every episode. Even if we don't
Yes.
type on it, we watching it on the screen. Sometimes we let y'all know we there, but we sit back and we watch, we take
Yes.
notes, and we every show, trust, and we watch Deep Believers. We've been
Yeah,
watching other
Deep
people's
Believer.
testimonies and stuff. They like a lot of, the Lord is reaching out to a lot of people right now. So there's things going on. People feel it. People know what's going on. And I ain't never felt like this in my whole life. I'm 43. The whole time I've been around, it ain't nothing been going on supernatural that's going on now like it is.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's ever since that I've had that vision. It's just, I don't know. I can just tell who's good and who ain't. I can see like good spirits around people. I can see bad spirits. I know I see people laughing at me now when I tell them about Jesus. I could walk off. I could just hear them laughing, but it's okay. Mock me all you want. I love Jesus. Jesus saved me. Ain't nothing that nobody can tell me different. I know God's real. And
And that's what we're here to tell them.
So one last thing, we have about 4 or 5 minutes left. If there's anyone listening tonight who they're about to make that choice, but sometimes we waver, you know, that's, I believe, for some is part of the journey. What would you share with them, James and Crystal?
well, if you at that point in your life to where you don't know what you want to do, and you're tired of the addiction, and you're tired of the lies, and you're just tired of living wearing masks all the time, and you can't be you, and you want somebody to love you, go. What is it? John 8:32. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. And the truth is Jesus. He's the way, the truth, and the life. Nobody can come to the Father except through Him. You draw near to Him, He'll draw near to you. And just give your life to Him. All the things I've been through in my life, and all the pain and the hurt and the suffering, all it did was build me to make me see that love is the way. It's all about love. No lies, just love. You only get one life. Make the best of it. God is the way. If you don't got a foundation and it starts with Jesus, your house is gonna crumble every time something comes up. So I think that
Yes.
you just, I don't know. There's been so many. I can just think of so many miraculous things that helped me change my life, and I can see over the years that where He's been there. But I don't know. Just pick up the Word and read it. And
I believe that the Lord will allow people to get into certain places in their life to where they're at rock bottom. And I do hair. So I love when people come into my chair and their hair is all the way down to their butt and they want to go above their shoulder. So my first question is, well, what's going on? Because they're trying to make a drastic change. They want something different. So that tells me that they're seeking for something. And if you're seeking for something, you're in the best place to be, because the only way to go from there is up. And for me, it was only with Jesus. So, if you're at rock bottom and you don't have anywhere else to turn and you've already tried to do everything the way you've tried to do it, try Jesus, because he's the way, the truth, and the life. And that's the only way to get to God is through Jesus.
Wow. Wow, I'm really no words to share. Sometimes I believe when you heard the truth, there's no reason to respond. And I just want to say to both of you that I believe your testimony will and is helping many. And one thing, you honored Jesus tonight and you came from your heart. So
Yes.
Rebecca and I are really proud of what you chose. And
So much. And just
gonna
so
make
everybody
an
knows,
impact.
like a lot of people in my past, like my stepmother and stuff, they believe in Jesus now. I see that they done got their life right. I forgave everybody who's ever harmed me, and I'm forgiveness, love. I want to love my neighbor as I love myself, and put God first, and my wife and my family. Other than that, all I want to do is give my testimony, help people, and live righteous. And that's what I plan to do the rest of my life. So everybody who wants to know Jesus, get to know Jesus. Y'all get a hold of us or get a hold of Mr. Greg and them, and we get y'all right.
Well, I can honestly say from my heart, we love you.
Yes, we love
We
you.
love y'all too.
We love you
God bless
guys.
you so much.
You're God sent.
So
No
much.
doubt about it. And I just want to say on this Sunday too at 8:30.
Yes,
Uh,
I believe so.
8:30 p.m. We're going to have Doreen back. I'm feeling the topic should basically be being led by the Holy Spirit.
Awesome.
That's the topic. So that's this Sunday on the One Source Network.
And yes, it's good.
Okay, at 8:30 p.m.
Okay.
This is the awakening for us. So y'all gonna see a lot more of us. This the first time we speaking on it, and then we coming out strong. Now we coming for Jesus. Y'all better watch out. Jesus is with us.
That's right.
Does that mean, James, we extend another invitation when God leads you to come on again?
Anytime y'all want us on, we'd be more than glad to come on and share anything we can with you guys.
Okay, so we thank you for that, and we thank you, Crystal. We thank everyone in the chat. Go ahead, hon.
How can someone get a hold of you if they want to contact you?
Email probably would be best.
kingdomcom.est2020@gmail.com.
Could you repeat that one more time, James?
Kingdomcom, KINGDOMCOM.est2020@gmail.com. Kingdomcom.est2020@gmail.com.
Okay, you're fit for radio. I'm seeing it.
That's right.
I'm learning. He's got me in training. Trust me, he's training me right now. I've been locked away for 4 years in the Word. I got so much I want to talk about. I see myself as being like, I can see, like she said, she see me on stage, and I see me on stage being like a how's it called, a motivational speaker for like kids or about Jesus to help them get them pumped up. I'm gonna set that fire under them and put them on out there. So
Well,
I feel like I
once
can reach a lot
again,
of
we
people.
really
Yes.
want to thank the time that you and Crystal
Yes.
spent with us, Kingdom Couple.
Yes.
And
Yes.
we're on, and I'm sure
So,
God has a
yes.
smile on his face.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well,
bless
good
you
night,
guys.
everyone.
Good
We
night.
thank everyone in the chat and those who are listening. Have a good night.
Thank you.
God
Good
bless you
night.
guys.
Thank
Good night.
you. God bless.
Thank you.
God bless you.